let's start with that first question. What do you love about your Skool community?
So maybe let me give you a little bit of context for the Skool community. So like I started with Skool in August this year, so 2025. And the idea why I started was kind of, we work a lot with bigger companies together, like because what we do is like all this understanding under which circumstances people actually buy products, because you have like the thing where people or companies invest like 6-7 figure budgets into building a new product or a new service, and they're like, yay, we are going to build this feature, and then we're getting rich and everyone will love it, and our customers, they will be so happy, and it's going to heal the world and everything. Like, the smaller the company, the bigger the vision, and then on launch day it's like crickets and like really sad. And and then and it's really tough, especially if you're in a bigger company, to discuss the things, because usually it's not like until launch day when you first think, well, maybe this is not the right thing for the market, where you're actually having doubts, where you're not sure whether this thing will actually fly. Because, like, imagine you're like a senior vice president in some company and you're like, I talked to all my peers and my bosses, and I got this budget for this huge strategic project, and it's going to be a hallmark of my career. And then you get this, and then at some point you're like, I don't know whether this is the right thing. That's something you can't discuss with your boss or your peers. That would be like, I don't know, putting in a sign on your back that says, backstab me here and take my huge budget. And so we wanted to create a space for senior decision makers, be it CEOs of mature startups, C-level executives, mainly from medium-sized companies, or just head of or SVPs from enterprise level companies, where they can actually exchange on, really think through these high-stake decisions with peers, but also with a common language, a common framework on how to think through these things, how to identify your unknown unknowns, the loops that you have in your understanding where you're not that sure, and then also really find a way on how to fix that. And that is the place that we wanted to create with our company, and that's why we went to Skool and said, okay, we want to start a Skool community. Also, at the same time, we have a lot of people who have been in projects in the past, and they want to have a place where they can stay to really stick to the whole methodology, and keep on like practicing it, and having like a peer group that like keeps them in touch with this, so they're not getting assimilated by the rest of the organization on not thinking about what your customers want, and just going with your gut feeling and vision, and then being sad on launch day. And that was like the beginning. And Skool is like very different from other social media, as you know. It's like very, while on LinkedIn everyone is like, look at me, I am so amazing, and I don't know what, proposing to my wife taught me about B2B sales, and half of the content is AI generated. And you're like, I hate this place. And all the time people are like, hey, do you want to buy my new service? It will fix every problem. I don't know you, but I am pretty presumptuous, so like, this will fix it. And so like the vibe is very, very salesy, very ego-centered, and very like, look at me, how amazing I am, and thought leader content. And it's not like this peer-to-peer that Skool has. So that's kind of the question. What excites me about Skool is like, this is different. People are like human energy, like authenticity is more of a currency, instead of just look at what I did. And it's people helping each other, and people growing together, and it's more natural and in touch, and that's what I like about it, and that's what we tried to build in Skool. And then we kind of had a ride of realizing that's nice, but the people that we work with are like not the people that are on Skool, because
Right.
Skool is kind of like early TikTok in a way. Like in the very beginning of TikTok, everyone was like, what is this platform? It's only like teenagers doing dance videos. And it's come a long way. And now it's a serious marketing platform where you find CEOs and CTOs and high level decision makers. And maybe it's still about dance videos for them, but it's also about the business.
Mm.
And like Skool is in this phase as well, because you have like a lot of I want to escape my 9 to 5 job. I'm a solopreneur trying to make my first 1K, 5K, 10K. People that sell those people how to escape your 9 to 5 job, and how to make your first 10K, and like all this stuff. And it's like a lot less. I call it business maturity. And that's kind of the struggle in building this, because I am part of what I by now identified like in the next wave of Skool. Like Skool until now, it has started with just some people being like a little bit entrepreneurial or doing some communities on some stuff, and then it's becoming slowly more and more successful solopreneurs. And now I think one of the next waves is like really this medium-sized companies adoption, like some decision makers of bigger companies being on Skool for dedicated topics. And I'm part of this wave of people that change that like have people in their community that actually have like a B2B business, a bigger business, like where you have people that move like big sums of money. And yeah, now it's trying to figure that out. And there are some others that are also part of this wave, and that's like interesting to connect with them and see different strategies that work for like these types of community members, and not the others. And yeah,
Yeah.
overshoot on their original. It's like what I try building on Skool, what we try building on Skool with our creating progress community, and how and the challenges and what I like and what I don't like, and
Yeah. Well, I think you've identified one of the key challenges, and then it's the same with my business. I don't have a free community. I'm looking
mhm,
for very specific people in it. And it
mhm,
means that it means a lot actually of the ways that free communities market
mhm,
themselves is very different from how I have to do it. And
yes,
so I know some of the communities are growing by being discovered on Skool.
mhm,
That's not my case. I
mhm,
am having to bring people in from other places and using
yes,
my school kind of like a school is a place of congregation.
yeah,
And so I agree with you. It just means that I have to do things a little differently. But when you're an early adopter, there's opportunity that isn't available in the same way
yeah,
for those who come later on. So
yeah,
understand that challenge completely.
yeah,
But I think you're right. I think if you stick with it and speak to others who are growing similar types of communities.
yeah,
So high ticket, bringing in people who are at a very different level of business
mhm,
than just people who are starting out or this is a hobby.
mhm.
Yeah, that there's definitely a place for that.
And I agree. I mean, this discovery thing, like one of the big differences that I notice is for many Skool communities, like Skool is their business. And
Yes,
for me, a Skool is part of our business.
right.
Like it's I have a freemium community. I don't need people to pay for the community, because it's like it's about the connection. Like um and there are always like two sides to the community. It's like, what do you want to build as a community for the community? And it's like you can't treat like people in your community as leads. But at the same time, obviously, people that you stay in touch in your community are more likely to become business partners later on, and you're more likely to do business together. And that's kind of like why you invest in building a community, because it's like it builds some level of authority, connection, trust. They have like seen you over a longer time. They start to look at their problems in the way that you frame the problems that they experience. So they adopt your language. And then later when you talk with them about their challenges, they are already in sync with your language. And that's why you are kind of higher positioned as a solution provider when it comes to choosing the solution provider.
Right.
And so that's kind of the place where it sits. But I have no issue with people not paying for the community. The only reason where I put in like pay options is mostly so that it's only done by people who are serious enough to invest money in it.
Right.
So it's more like a filter mechanism than a way to earn money. So I don't my monthly recurring revenue from Skool doesn't need to be high because I have a business outside of Skool, which is like the success of the company doesn't reflect, for example, in the Skool games.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's like, so that's interesting. And it's like, it's kind of a different game. Also, like the people are different. Like if I look at communities, like let's take Synthesizer, which is a great community. They do like a good roadmap and so on for people that want to become financially independent and escape 9-to-5 jobs to really start their own thing. And they have a whole journey, and it's a huge community, and it's a lot of activities. But if you want to escape your 9-to-5 job, you have a lot more time to be active on Skool and to post and to connect and to networking and outreach and exchange with other people in your field than if you're like the CTO of a company, because then you're like, I don't know, you have time for Skool when you're on the toilet or when you're in a really boring meeting that you actually don't want to be in. These are like the time slots for Skool that you have. And in these time slots, you're probably not watching other videos or read. Yeah.
And that's a really good point, Martin. Like, I'm excited about my community as well, but my community will never rank on the Skool games either. That's not going to happen for the same reasons you mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't want to build a huge community. I want to have a small community of very engaged members. And the
Yeah.
second reason is that my Skool community is a tiny revenue stream
Yeah.
in my business, but it's actually more of a place to bring the community together.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm using it for versus, as you mentioned, there's a lot of people on Skool for whom their Skool community is their primary
Yeah. Yes.
revenue. And so, yeah, this has been a really interesting conversation so far about this, because how do we navigate as a much smaller proportion of the schoolers out there in using this more as a community, being able to leverage discovery if possible? I don't know. Maybe it's not. But there definitely are some challenges around it for those of us where our primary revenue comes from elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's
Makes you
meant
not
to
so-
stay that way. I just wanted to say that, because for some people, this is a side hustle and they're looking to replace their income with Skool. But that's never been what I plan to do with it.
Yeah. I'm actually not so sold on the discovery is not the part, because like you by now have also Skool communities that are like wildly engaged with like less than 50 or 70 members. And I mean, it's still a different type of members. So like there's this one community where they got to, I think, over 4,000 activities on a day with like 70 members, which is like wild, which is like probably something you won't do with senior managers, because then their business would be being on Skool.
Yes.
Like if they really hate their job, then maybe, but then they're not good. I don't know. So and there's like a lot of, they like build on churn, on intentional churn, and like kicking people out. So that's different ways. And I think you can build an engaged community over time, and maybe there will be different places. And discovery is still, I think, a nice place, because it's like the only place on Skool where you actually have something like an algorithm that determines what's worthwhile and what not. Which is
Right.
like a very nice comparison to LinkedIn, for example, for a Skool community. Your
Yeah.
Skool community, it's not like you post something there and then the algorithm decides, no, your post not worthy. It's like you can always sort from new, and it's like always a little bit smaller. And
Mhm.
but that's like the place. And I don't think it's that useless. Maybe it's not that important to be like in the top 30 and get a star, and make a good ranking is like in the top 100, or I don't know, that at least when you're searching for your topic, you're appearing further upstream. I think that's still somewhat important. But I noticed for me, for example, most people join my community not through discovery, but because we talked, and then they said, okay, that's interesting. I like the exchange. I want to continue this. And like, you can't talk to everyone every day, but the community is a great place to continue conversations beyond the initial call or the call every few months or so, and like do discussions that are worthwhile for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm so glad we had this conversation because it can sometimes feel, especially, so my Skool community is very new. I think there's 6
Mm-hmm.
people in it at this
Mm-hmm.
point. And it can be difficult sorting through the strategies that work for a free
Yeah.
community where you want to make it paid and have it as a significant revenue stream
Yeah.
versus like what we talked about. I have my primary revenue stream. This is a very minor revenue stream, but it's more a place to bring people together. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, there is a possibility. How can we leverage what's been built? Sort
Mhm.
of like the word of mouth. I would say
Yeah.
discovery is like word of mouth in some ways,
Mhm. Yeah.
to make the groups a little more accessible, maybe to people who aren't active on the community, or maybe don't even have a Skool membership.
Mhm.
Or sorry, a
That
Skool
that
account.
struggle. That's a real
Yeah.
struggle. I noticed that a lot of my community members, especially in the beginning, they just didn't have like Skool habits. Like, which is
Yes.
also the platform is new, especially in that space. So like, people have Twitter habits or X habits or Instagram habits, or so like when you pull out your phone, your thumb automatically opens the app, and you like, many people just don't even have the app. I had some conversations with members, and they were like, I'm following everything that happens through the community only via the email notifications I get about the posts made in the community, which is like, they read everything, commented nothing because it only lived in their inbox.
Wow.
Was like fascinating to me. And I also, I don't know, and you have people that are like, I had another person who just wrote me and said, hey, I'm really sorry, I haven't been active on Skool this week. Things have been a lot of things to do. And it's like, yeah, man, that's totally fine. I mean, the community is there to provide value for you, and if you have other things to do, I mean, I understand. It's because like the kind of community, and then there are communities where if you're not active every day, you get kicked out, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think different models are emerging for different types and different ways of how to do community.
Yep.
And there are things that don't work on the platform at all, like just this guru selling, and maybe even that. Maybe that's even wrong to say that doesn't work. But I think from a community perspective, like this, we together as a community go and solve challenges together as a general vibe is something that you're kind of having to keep. And apart from that, there's like a million different ways on how this will evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been so enjoyable. I'm so glad. Thank you for being my first person that I've interviewed for this Built to Stay series.
You're welcome.
Really love your energy, and to your point, I mean, we met by commenting back and forth on a post, and started chatting in the DMs, and came to this. But
Yes.
I love the fact, and that was pure coincidence. Only through this discussion did we figure out that we are
Yeah.
very similar in
Yeah.
how we're building our communities. And I know we are definitely in a minority,
Yes.
but I still see massive value in being part of the bigger schoolers community. as
Mhm.
well as continuing to grow our communities on Skool versus, I don't know, Facebook, or I don't even know anymore where you can go and build. Circle, I guess, is another place where you
Yeah.
could build communities as well.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, this has been amazing. So